Hello, are you out there? It's Mark with Redo Over, and we are back to Stellaris Vanilla in-depth tutorial, and we're going to start off with something specifically here on episode 16. Trade policy. I got lost in it earlier, but I've actually hashed it out. I figured it out. So if you've ever wondered what trade is all about in 4.0, let's start right there. It's going to be a lot of talk. Okay, let's jump up here to the trade option. We're going to hover over it. What is so unusual about the trade pop-up is that it is recursive in a sense. The numbers you're seeing are feeding into themselves and then being spit back out at you. So let's start with our trade policy because that is specifically the recursive part. So we're going to jump into our Governments tab. We'll return to the Trades tab in just a moment. Let's go to Government. Let's go to our Policies and Edicts, and let's take a look at our trade policy. Now, for our pacifist, spiritualist build with our trait picks, we don't have any special trade options. The only one we have is the default wealth creation. What it is saying is that it is going to return half of our surplus trade to us in energy at a 1 energy to 1 trade ratio, which is good. Normally to buy energy, the base rate is 1.3 trade to 1 energy. So it is a savings. A 1-to-1 ratio to get energy for trade is better. Okay, it's not bad. The other 50% of our trade comes back to us as trade. So we feed in our surplus trade and we get half energy, half trade back. That's the recursive part, is we're just converting trade to trade. Now, a couple episodes ago, I essentially said, oh, that doesn't really make sense. We're taking all of our trade and getting half back and half energy. That's a loss. Well, it's not a loss because, again, by default, energy costs us 1.3 trade. So it's a 30% return on half of the investment. Half the input, so about a 15% kickback there for that trade. So it's a little bit good. It's not bad. The fact that we can't turn off wealth creation, we can't do anything else so that we have no other policies isn't bad. It is giving us like a 15% return. Now, let's jump back over here. So all this probably makes sense to folks, but let's take a look here. When I'm looking at the produced and the consumed, and the trade produced is 50.97, consumed is 37.94. But I'm looking at trade policy. The 26.06 is what my trade policy is being fed. You're going, well, where does this 26.06 come from? There's no numbers up here that I can combine to make 26.06, FYI. Right? I can't add the 6 to the 13. I can't add the 13 to the 10. I can't add the 10 to the 8. Right? Like, there's no way to take these 4 produced inputs and make 26.06. Right? These are simple math. You can just see there's no combination of 2 or 3 of them I can do to get 26. Here we go. This is how it's going to work. You're going to take all the trade you're producing and take out the trade policy. So you're going to add, you may not have a trade station on your star base and be getting +8, right? You may not. But you're just going to take everything out of production minus the trade policy. And so in this case, we're going to take 8 plus a 10.84 is going to get 18.84 plus the 19. 18 plus 19 is 37. The 0.84 plus the 0.1 is 94. So 37.94. We consume all of the trade. That's where the consumption number comes from. You will always consume all of the trade minus your trade policy. That is super non-intuitive. You can't get rid of it. Now, what happens with consumption? So we're essentially bringing in 37.94 trade every month minus the trade policy recursive kickback. And you go, well, how? Okay, what do I do now? Well, it's being used up in 2 ways. One, the first way is the planetary deficits. All of your colony deficits are going to get paid off. And I'll talk about that in a moment. And then whatever is left is fed into your trade policy. 100% of what's left goes into the trade policy. It's then chopped in half. Half is returned as a 1-to-1 ratio is energy. Half is returned at a 1-to-1 ratio is trade. So obviously, 1/2 of the 26.06 trade policy is in fact 13.03. The energy part, we're going to look for a 13.03 under our energy production. And sure enough, if we come over here, we see that underproduced for energy trade policy 13.03. That all makes sense. So the part that's quite elusive, quite ethereal, and really almost impossible to math out based off of the information that Paradox is providing us in Stellaris right now, this isn't necessarily a complaint, but is the planetary deficits. How are we converting 11.88 trade every month to pay for our planetary deficits? Shrug question. Now, what are planetary deficits? If we come over here to Fula, you can see a very clearly defined planetary deficit window. Well, currently, Fula Prime produces a little bit of everything and in fact has no deficit in any resource. However, let's click over to Isius Prime. We've geared Isius Prime to get us some minerals, right? We've got some mining districts. We're getting a good amount of priest power, or unity as some people call it. We call it priest power here. And we're generating some trade. Trade's coming from our civilians, our elites, our specialists, our workers. Everyone produces a little trade. And in fact, if you look under the production here, down a little ways, you can see the bottom lines are worker living standards, civilian jobs, specialist living standards, elite living standards, civilian living standards. All that is generating trade. All of our people generate trade. It's just what they're buying and selling to live their lives. Their socks, their food, their energy bill, whatever. You know, maybe a little bit of taxes floating around, investments, whatever. It's trade. So that's pretty clear, but we can obviously tell that we have no generator districts. So Isius has a deficit in energy, in food, because they don't grow any food, they don't have any farms down here, and in civilian, whatever the heck it's called, consumer goods. There we go. Testing you folks. You got it wrong. So let's jump over to the next world. Elysia Prime. Not enough energy, no minerals, no food, no consumer goods. And finally, our newest colony, Castor. They're producing some energy right now. We made them a generator world. They got a little bit of trade, but they have a shortage of food and a shortage of consumer goods. Where it gets difficult is presumably each planet is going to convert its surplus trade, the trade it's doing, to buy the stuff it's deficit as. So in this case, if I'm looking at Castor, just because it's the simplest example, what I'm imagining is that they're producing about 3. It's probably rounding down possibly on our trade. They're then going to take that 3 and they're going to try and meet their own deficit needs by buying 2 food and 1 consumer good. Let's jump over here to the market. So right now, if we buy food, is coming in at 1.29, we'll say 1.3. And so that is about 2.6 of the trades getting used up. They're using their own trade surplus to buy that food. And then they're still short 1 consumer good. They had about 0.4 left over from the food. And if they have to buy 1 consumer good at 2.6 plus the 0.4, it's all together coming out to about a -3 trade deficit. Question? I think. And thus, if I mouse up to here and I'm looking at this planetary deficit, I'm assuming Castor's running at about 3 trade of that total deficit. I think. Why do I think that? Because these outputs, such as energy, they're not cashing out that energy on the market to make up for the surpluses or their deficits, I don't think. I believe that 13 energy is going directly up here to the galactic energy total. Now, let's jump back to a slightly more complex world, Elysia Prime. Elysia is producing a lot more stuff. Alloys, their trade, their unity. Bear this in mind, there's no way to convert unity into trade, or you can't buy anything on the market with Unity. You can't convert it, sell it, buy it. So that's a total wash. So in a sense, these guys have a lot of deficit, a lot of energy, a lot of minerals, a lot of food, a lot of consumer goods. I'm not exactly sure how their 8 trade is getting them anywhere near what they need. So when I start adding these numbers up, I'm going well beyond the planetary deficit numbers. If I'm adding up what I'm seeing as these deficits for Elysia, Isius, and Castor, it's going well beyond the 11.88. So what in fact is happening is that Fula is taking its mighty surplus of trade and using that to pay for the other planetary deficits? Question? I don't know. I don't know how you'd figure it out. I feel like there's not enough information. When I say that because I would imagine that when I mouse over the planetary deficit panel here on each planet, it should give me a summary of what the trade deficit is to make up for this. Now, so that's a question. I don't have the answer. I'm sure if I were to start hacking apart all those numbers, I could get to it, but realistically, no one can play the game that way because you would be analyzing dozens of planetary surpluses versus planetary deficits just to figure out what your planetary trade deficit is. Let's not worry about it. But the other thing to point out is that our monthly trades on the market are not falling into the produced or the consumed, just so you folks know. They do very clearly have their own layer down here called monthly trades. Currently, we're sitting at a -9 on that. So if I jump into the market, if we took the value of our sells, which is energy and food, and then we took the value of our buys, which is alloy, minerals, and consumer goods, we subtracted them or added and subtracted them, we would be at a -9 total. So I only bring that up because I don't want you to think necessarily that what you're doing in the market is feeding into this number up here. In general, it's not, although it is tying in with your consumed with your monthly. But yeah, so long story short is you're going to essentially take everything you're producing, take out the trade policy, that will equal your consumed. Then you're going to pay for all your planetary deficits that you're not covering in other mysterious ways, because it really is a mystery. I really don't know how you're covering it. But whatever is left over gets fed wholesale into your trade policy. In this case, the 26.06. Then kicks back to you via your trade policy, which will be some combination of half of the trade back and half of energy, or half of consumer goods, or half of Unity, whatever your trade policies would allow for. That's what's going on. Now, does that matter? What do we care? Well, the only little thing, if you were looking to super micromanage, would be to reduce your planetary deficit number as small as possible, making as much of the trade able to feed into your trade policy as possible. The only way I can think of to reduce your planetary deficits would be to actively go in and make sure that a planet like Isius is producing a little bit of their own energy, a little bit of their own food, a little bit of their own consumer goods. Now, the trick is, and for Elysia, energy, mineral, food, consumer goods. The trouble is, if you are producing all your planetary needs locally per colony, that's probably going to be less efficient. It's going to be less efficient than specializing your world as into a given type and specializing the buildings and the district layouts so that you're producing most efficiently. In particular, let's look at a world like, not Fula. What do we have? I don't really have any good mineral things. No, I don't. Okay. I don't have any world specializations right now that are feeding into, like, say, making Castor Prime a better generator world or anything like that. Apparently, yeah. No. Apparently not. But, so I don't think you should worry about your planetary deficits, is the bottom line. It's a really small number. That 11.88 planetary deficit, that's 12 trade functionally, is not worth worrying about, especially, I think, because you would lose so much efficiency if you tried to make every single one of your worlds, your colonies, self-sufficient. Yeah, you could get that planetary trade deficit to zero probably if we made sure, we're going to do a couple of farmers, we're going to do some energy production, we're going to build a manufacturing thing to get these consumer goods. But by the time you're paying for all those upkeeps for those different buildings and districts, you're taking your population away from what they're most efficient at, what you're gearing each world for: mining colonies, industrial worlds, generator worlds, right? I think you would more than lose out on the 12 trade, personally. I could be wrong. So I really dug into that. I spent about an hour just kind of fiddling through what that means. I don't know how useful it is, but I think the use of it is to simply go, you know what? Unless your planetary deficit is not outstripping your trade policy altogether, like your planetary deficit is somehow 50 and your trade policy is 1, and you're like, you just cannot generate trade, I wouldn't worry about it too much. And certainly, I cannot imagine it is beneficial to make every world completely self-sufficient. If someone can prove me different, I would be interested, but I really don't think that's part of it. It's sort of interesting, though, because in the past, you could have one planet that fed all 20 other planets, right? You have one world that has 20 farmer jobs and 8 agricultural, and they are the breadbasket of your whole galaxy. I believe in older versions of Stellaris, there was no detriment to that. There was no burden for the fact that you had to use essentially space freighters to send all the minerals to every world, all the alloys to every world, all the consumer goods, all the food, all the energy is getting beamed through freaking wormhole portals on, like, God, what would they use? Probably a microwave beam. I was thinking you would use a gamma ray laser, but that would be a little dangerous probably to shoot at your planets. But yeah, a microwave laser, you could probably manage microwave arrays. You just shoot those through wormholes to transport the energy across your galactic empire, right? That's how the fiction would work. But right now, I'm talking about it because was it really worth it to make planetary deficits through trade? I think because the way I'm seeing it, the impact is so minuscule that I almost feel like they should just clean it up and just get rid of that. Personally, it's only confusing. It's completely opaque for us to do the calculations ourselves outside of an Excel spreadsheet on a month-to-month basis. No one's gonna look at 80 columns in a spreadsheet every 30 ticks on this game to figure out what the trade deficit is. No one's gonna do that. So I think it was a big swing and a miss. If they're going to play into it more, maybe they're going to come up with freighter fleets. I think there's ways you could gamify it, but it's unplayable. So again, I know people get kind of down on me when I'm like negative towards the game, but I'm not trying to be. I'm just saying it's an unplayable part of the game. Give me a button to click. Give me a box to check, a slider to adjust, and I will play the trade planetary deficit game. But as far as I'm aware, there's nothing I can do about it. There is no checkbox. There's no slider bar. There's nothing I can invest in. I can't fix it. I can't play that part of the game. So it's weird. It's just this bizarre, confusing overhead that is untouchable. I get no entertainment from it. I mean, as much as like breaking my brain about it for the last hour and talking about it to you guys for 20 minutes. But aside from that, there's no entertainment value. So it's not. If it's the rule of making games. If the part of the game isn't fun, if the game's not fun, you don't got a game. So gamify it somehow. I don't know, or get rid of it. Okay. All right. Here we go. Now we play. Ooh, that was so exciting. The Canaway is sitting right now. Let's get them some jobs. Oh, we need to build up minerals. All right, let's run up the clock to fastest speed here. We do want the Canaway to start developing the Simonetta system, but we're going to have to get minerals to do that. Natural wormhole. We've detected what appears to be a naturally occurring subspace phenomenon on the edge of the Damanu system, a rift in the very fabric of space-time, has formed there, creating a wormhole that our scientists speculate may provide a conduit through space, subspace, to another wormhole located somewhere else in the galaxy. All right. If we could somehow stabilize it, cool. All right. Now, I do want to point out that I have had very good advice from folks saying that I need to rush down to Jorel War, and get my fleet down, or claim these and grab as many systems, because we know we have aliens colonizing these systems. Well, I think that's a fair way to play. Given the fact that we don't have any real special, we're not militaristic, we're spiritualistic, and we're pacifist. So, yeah, and given the size of your empire, you may be running into multiple aliens at a time. So feeding your science ships and your constructors out through every branch as quickly as possible, sucking up as many choke points as possible, is a very valid way to play wide. And wide may be a very valuable meta right now in the game, but it runs up your empire size and it leaves you potentially quite vulnerable. When you have a lot of inputs into your territory, it's hard to defend. And you can certainly run ahead of your ability to defend your empire. The more sprawling it is in particular, the more star bases you need to defend and plug the holes, the jump points into your systems take alloys to maintain. It takes fleets to defend. So in a sense, you can run ahead and gobble up as many stations as you can get. That makes a lot of sense. Trying to grab the whole galaxy makes a lot of sense, but it is unwieldy. In particular, we didn't make a civilization that has any proclivity for being good at that, right? We didn't. We don't have fast travel times. We don't have the ability to produce ships faster or some great reduction. We didn't even really buy into influence claims on new star bases at a massive reduction. Right now, it's costing us, what is it costing us to claim a system right now is, grab a constructor. It's costing us 67 influence. So if you want to make a rush civilization where you're going to gobble up as many star systems as you can do that, but you would want to build to it through your civilization picks and your tradition picks. We haven't done that. We could be grabbing star systems, building star bases for less than 50 influence a pop right now. At this point in the game, had we made those choices, but we're not making a rush. We're not good at it. There's no reason we would try to rush out there, because we would essentially vastly overextend, potentially running into many more Xenos more quickly than we're capable of doing it. Now, because we've chosen to play a spiritualist pacifist, I think definitely one of our next tradition picks will probably be to get into the diplomacy and start to really magnify our ability to find peaceful resolutions with these Xenos out there, as opposed to militaristic options only. So we'll probably finish our prosperity tradition tree, and we're moving through the traditions very quickly because we are a unity generating empire. But yeah, I would say that realistically, diplomacy might be the next right choice for us, so we can find other means to negotiate with the Xenos out there. All right. Did we just have a fleet order canceled? Maybe? Yeah, well, we need minerals. We need so many minerals. Gas giant ship. Active scans of Abatreus 3 have picked up what appears to be a large ship deep inside the atmosphere of a gas giant. Judging by the nearby debris, there have been several failed attempts to salvage the derelict in the past. Any ship strong enough to withstand such crushing gravity must be a magnificent prize, and Science Officer Salinan has proposed a salvage project of our own. Now, this is hilarious because the gravity's not crushing in the atmosphere of a gas giant. The atmospheric pressure is what's crushing in the gravity in the atmosphere of a gas giant. But it's just, I'm equivocating on a little physics there. But yeah, bring it up whatever it takes. This is like Battlestar Galactica modern episode where Starbucks gets below the flight deck in a gas giant atmosphere. She can't come out, and she's... Oh, spoilers. She dies. Sorry, it's been like 25 years, folks. You gotta watch Battlestar Galactica. Okay, bring it up whatever it costs. Issue special projects, salvage gas giant ship. The effort is too great. Leave it down there. Ooh, we could get initial. Now I want to bring it up. I would like to get a gas giant ship here. All right, we're gonna pause that. Let's jump up to our situation log. Salvage gas giant ships. It would take a science ship in orbit. Let's take a look at that. Do we have it? Yeah, we do. So let's grab her and let's send her back to research the project. I'm hoping we can get something out of that big ass ship. That would be lovely. And we're going to run the clock here. So we got a bunch of constructors sitting idle. I think we're about ready to have them start building some more stuff though. So let's grab this little baby mineral pocket. I know that sucks, but we need more minerals. And we will have the Conway start working on these stations. Just a second. There we go. We're going to build all 3 of those research stations. That'll be pretty nice. We did just discover a new anomaly. What do we have here? Ancient Shipyard. This is at Damanu 2. This is from Voidborn Mary. Ancient orbital shipyard drifts in silence above this world. It has suffered significant battle damage, and entire sections of the facility are missing. It's a routine project for her. 100 days, 3 months. Let's investigate it, and we will move on. So we have all of our civilian ships working right now. I'm going to shrink our military fleets down just so we can see that a little bit better. And let's pump some of this alloy surplus into the remaining corvettes we want. So let's check the Galactic Omelet real quickly. Inside of Wegmore 4, we're not what we expected. Instead of some infant titanic life form, we simply uncovered genetic slop. The entire planet is filled with genetic material and resources. What all this material would have become is unclear, but our galaxy is probably safer not knowing. So essentially a planet-sized egg, right? So like if you take an unboiled chicken egg, or any egg, what's in there is the yolk and all the whites. It's all the material you need to build a baby chicken. Or any life form of the size of the egg. All that gets used up. It's all the material you need to build a fully formed chicken and enough energy to keep that process going. I think that's what the white is, right? The yolk is going to be the material and the white is the food. It's all the carbohydrates and fats and proteins stuff. Yeah, whatever. You guys know what I'm saying. So yeah. It's a planet-sized egg. Not differentiated yet, though, because it didn't have a genetic... it didn't have the nucleus to start the machinery of life. It wasn't fertilized. There you go. So, fascinating, Captain. Society research gain, plus 1,084.48. That's going to really help our society research projects, which is great. And it added plus 8 society to Wegmore 4. That's amazing. We're going to want to pull one of our constructor ships back and build the station there. That plus 8 is huge right now. So you can see that what is happening as we progress the game, our anomalies are generating better and better discoveries. A plus 8, I think, is the biggest single node we've found around any star system so far. That's great. That's great. Close that. So we're going to do a couple things. We're going to shrink that down. Look at the plus 8 right there. So yeah, we're going to want to keep an eye on the dead star and send the bones back as soon as we can, as soon as they've completed this. And let's go to the Fula station real quickly. Let's jump into the shipyard and let's bust out these corvettes. We need 7 of them. We have enough alloy. Let's just pull the trigger, get it done. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7. Boom, there you go. Those will be done probably in less than half a year. And we will finally be at our naval capacity, as I've been talking about doing for over 19 years now. We're going to do it now, though, for real. Science ship, the Wise, it needs a new job. That's right. Can we have them work on whatever that project is? Salvage the gas giant ship? Yes, please. Research the project in the system? There you go. That was weird. Wait, sorry. Do I have 2 ships there? What's going on? Okay. That was weird. I thought the Wise was asleep. Here we go. Special project completed. In a masterful display of engineering, the team under Science Officer Salinan has managed to gently raise the derelict ship on Abatreus 3 to the gas giant's upper atmosphere. Despite its age, the ancient cruiser is in remarkably good condition, and we have restored power to its systems. No trace of the original crew remains, but we have brought over our own and commissioned the ship into the fleet. Excellent. All right. And Salinan gained 200 experience. Very cool. So here she is, folks. That is the Raspy's Rapscallions. It's a 623 firepower cruiser. Now, if we compare that to one of our belt manglers, each of these ships is a 56 firepower. So she's the equivalent of like 11 or 12 corvettes. It's a good ship to have. Let's take a look at her real quickly. No leader currently. A lot of firepower. Let's check down here. So military power is 623. The crew is coming out as rank experienced. Bonus. I don't know why that is, but that's cool. Hull points 1800, armor 1650, shields 1245. Upkeep on her is 5.42 energy a month. That is a lot. We may want to get her docked at a naval shipyard so that with the crew quarters, and that would reduce her upkeep while she's docked. Why do I always say wall like I'm saying whale while she's dropped? Little speech impediment there. Logistics upkeep 0.4 trade. Ooh. Now bear in mind, and she's FTL capable. Great. Bear in mind that there are logistical upkeeps on these ships. And if we're not careful when we come up here in naval capacity, well, actually, when I was digging into trade, hold on. I'm not really clear on this. I'm going to jump back to the trade. In the trade pop-up, trade is used for ship upkeep, colony upkeep, and to buy other resources. Ship upkeep. Interesting. Now, I think I may have us blow past our naval cap. We're going to build out those 7 additional corvettes, taking us to 27. But will the Raspy's Rapscallions count towards our naval cap? I believe it will, probably at a level of 4. One cruiser costs 4 naval cap. I mainly want to do it just to poke around and see what happens when we blow past our naval capacity. And in particular, I want to see how that relates to the trade upkeep cost. So right now, this cruiser is costing us 0.4 trade. Let's take a look at one of the corvettes and see what its trade cost is. Nothing. Each corvette individually has an energy upkeep and an alloy upkeep, but no trade upkeep. That's fascinating to me. I would imagine it would cost us 0.1, but they're saying, no, you can have all the corvettes you want with no trade upkeep? Question? I don't know. But up here, though, we can see our command corvette usage is coming in. It's a 1-to-1, essentially, right? It's functionally what it's coming out as. For naval capacity. See the little fighter craft there? There's... Up here, you can see how that is literally naval capacity. The icon is that fighter craft. Now, it's possible that command usage is represented by the 3 fighter craft together. You see right there, it's got 1, 2, 3. Maybe that is the separate icon for command limit usage. What it's telling me is that we could fit up to 70 command into this single fleet. But naval cap, I believe, is very specifically just the single ship. So, whatever. But let's bear in mind that right now that ye old Raspy Rapscallions are using 0.4 trade. Let's lock that in our brains. And I am going to send them... You know what? Let's send them to our frontier. Let's send them to the Castro frontier. Let's do that right now. I would like a little bit of firepower over there. And let's do one other thing. Up to this point, we've been existing with but a single starbase. Although we could have 6 'tis time to make a new starbase, and I'll stop doing that. Temporarily, at least. So, in order to upgrade ye old starport to... Sorry, I can't stop. I can't stop myself now. We're getting medieval here, folks. What would it cost? Well, in exactly the right amount. It'll cost 185 alloy and 240 days to upgrade this from an outpost to a starport. Let's do it. Boom. That pretty much uses up the rest of the alloys we had. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Castor as essentially, functionally for now, our stopping point. And also to have a little bit of firepower, maybe put a naval shipyard there. I don't know. There's all sorts of stuff we can do. But yeah, we're going to go arm up Castor. Make it defensible at this point. What the heck else? I have science ships that are sitting here doing nothing. So we want to take the Wise. And the Wise is down here at Wegmore. Is there anything else they can do at Wegmore? I don't think so. We have the Free Pearl down here, surveying. Okay, yeah, let's take the Wise, and we will have them haul ass out here and survey the Edor Vang system. Cool. And then who else do we got? The Atalante. They just finished the project pulling up the old Raspy Rapscallions from the gas giant, and we're going to have them continue surveying that system. And everyone's got a job, everyone's happy, and let's run the old clock. Okay, we freed up the bones of the Dead Star, and we are in fact going to send them south, galactic south, west here, to claim that research system at Wegmore. That's going to be fantastic. Big, big ups for us, folks. We just had something pop off down here in the south. This is the ISS Kuigan Amon. Automated shipyard. Well, conducting the survey of Damanu 2, the ISS Kuigan Amon detected the remains of an automated shipyard in orbit. It is at least 1,000 years old and seems to have been subjected to a heavy missile barrage. But one of its manufacturing bays is still in working condition. Science officer Voidborn Mary is confident that power can be restored to the shipyard, but it would be a significant project. Interesting. Yeah, I would like to pursue the project. Automated repair the shipyard. Interesting. I'm gonna pause there. Let's click. Let's right click. Oh. Interesting. Okay, let's jump into situation. What's it going to take? A constructor. Oh my. Now, this is tricky because if we are in fact going to concede the Jorel War system potentially in these other systems, is it worth getting a constructor out there to work on that project? What could we get out of the automated shipyard? Alloy? Ships? I would take ships. And all right, let's do this. Let's send the bones of a Dead Star, not to Wegmore, but out here to research this project. Holy crud. Why can't I go through that? Oh, because I haven't surveyed that yet. Okay, hold on. We're going to go for this. We're going to go to Jorel War. We're going to move there. We may claim it. We'll see. I'm going to break them off right now, though, and have them come in and survey this system just so I can bring the constructor ship through. We may be able to get to Damanu and work on that. The other thing I'm going to work on is I'm going to jump to the Foos station, jump into the shipyard, pull off one of these constructors real quick. I'm going to throw in a construction ship. Yeah, that's right. I'm building a new construction ship just for this. And we're going to move them up the queue. Let's see. Can I just grab them? No. You got to tick them up one at a time. Boom. Boom. And we're going to run that forward. When that constructor's done, we will send that third constructor over to Wegmore right now. System survey complete. I'm going to pause there. We have alien ships here in the Helios system. And I'm guessing this is... Yeah, they're no, maybe. Surveying? I can't tell what they're doing. I don't see any other stations, though, around the star, so I don't think they've claimed it yet. I'm not really sure what that ship is. But let's take a look up here, folks. We have first contact event pending. Now, if you recall, I believe one of our traits gives us a +1 to code breaking. So with any luck, we should be able to decipher the aliens' language before they decipher ours. But we have made first contact with the mysterious alien in the Helios system. For now, we've codenamed them the new aliens. You get it? This is new. They're new to us. Until we can find out more about them, if they possess a language, we must decipher it in order to establish communications. Interesting. Now, when I visually looked at that ship, it wasn't scanning. It was just sitting there in orbit. I don't think this is necessarily a fully fledged civilization. Could be like some sort of automated robotic thing. Just a feel from the ship wasn't doing anything. So we will assign an envoy. We have one of our 2 envoys left available. Mad Baldassar? Hell yeah. Baldassari? Frickin' accept. He's going to jump in there. Difficulties 4, skill bonus 1. Well, they have a reasonable chance of doing that. He will then work on that. And then what do we have? Survey complete at the Ralltree system. Fantastic. These are some very mid systems. Well, I should say Oridetus isn't bad with the 8 minerals. We'll probably want to claim that sooner rather than later. But where do we send the Free Pearl next? South? To intercept? Yeah, we probably want to work on south and east because we know that the Upsilons are coming around the backside. So, yeah. All right, let's do that. Here we go. Oh, it looks like they're already moving that way. Perfect. We will let them continue on with their project. And we have a couple of new traits. Maroon and Joan got the engineer trait, and Big Esmeralda got the architectural interest trait. So let's just click on one of them here. This is our commander, Maroon and Joan, got engineer. So daily hull regen is at a plus 0.5%. Daily armor regen plus 1% for the fleet. That's great. That's quite effective. Nothing wrong with that. I'll take it. And our other leader trait is coming off of Big Esmeralda, who's one of our officials, and she got the architectural interest trait. This is fantastic. As a planetary or sector governor, it's going to correlate to planetary infrastructure upkeep minus 20 or 10% and planetary infrastructure build speed plus 20 or 10%. That's great. We should give them some stuff to build, actually. We actually have quite a bit of minerals in surplus right now. So, Big Esmeralda is looking good. I think everything looks pretty sweet. Since we're sending the constructor down here, the Bones of a Dead Star, we will claim Jor-El War. And we may claim some of these others. Our science ship is working away here, currently surveying the system. That looks good. And the Conway is closing in on these research projects. And here's our new constructor, I forgot about already, the ISS Fear No Spaceborne. Oh, it's like Dreadnought. Right? You guys knew that dreadnought literally means to dread not, to dread never, no dread. The British, I think, came up with that. They named one of their battleships the Dreadnought because it was so badass. It had so much armor and so much firepower that it had nothing to fear. Thus, they coined the name Dreadnought. In this case, Fear No Spaceborne, or Dreadnought Spaceborne, is this. Okay, that is a mouthful. Okay, we won't rename her. We're going to send her on there to build that damn station. That's awesome. Whew, what else do we want to deal with here, folks? I would really love for our next tradition pick to come up. We need more priests. Oh my god, we need so many more priests, folks. What are we waiting on here with our planets? It is looking good. I'm just scanning through real quick. Everything's looking pretty sweet. We need more jobs. Yeah, right here at Elisa Prime. Can we what are we doing with Industrial World? I'm just debating how we get more priests. You know what? I think we're gonna have to get our priests on Fula, folks. We've let our temples go fallow for too long. Automation building. Oh no, we don't want the automation building. I don't want that just yet. Yeah, let's get another temple going. We haven't built a new temple in a really long time, and we don't want to. It's easy to get distracted in a game like Stellaris, where you know what your focus is. You're focusing, and then you're like, oh, I gotta maintain everything else, and you stop doing what you're good at. that's a really good way to stall your game out. So we're going to get those templates built. I see all of our ships flying around. We completed another survey. Where is that? Okay, perfect. That's at the Arbitraeus system. In general, the Arbitraeus system is a shite system. Can we move on here to Koronagi? Were there Xenos in there? I don't remember. We're gonna find out. We're gonna send in the Atalante to survey, and we're gonna run the clock forward. Construction complete. I'm pausing again because our starbase construction is complete. Fantastic. Right here at Castor. Let's click into Castor. So we have some alloy surplus. Fantastic. We can build 2 modules and we can build a building. We haven't done any of that yet. So this is kind of like our first time messing with it. So what do we want to do with the Castor system? Well, I wouldn't mind having some defensive capabilities. It's all good. Listen, a shipyard would allow us to build out here, but we really don't need to. We can use Fula A as our main shipyard, building new ships and then sending them out. I would say that I want to be able to defend here, so adding a gun battery will give us a lot of extra firepower. So yes, let's do that. And then what else do we want? Well, for instance, we could put in 8 trade with a trade hub, meaning we build it and it just gives us 8 trade. Cool. It would cost us 1 energy. Not a big deal. We do a solar panel. Now, a solar panel's base is going to be 6 energy and no upkeep. You're not paying 1 energy to produce it. It's kind of a nice thing. Essentially, the reason it's 6 instead of 8 is because they're taking off the energy that would go into the upkeep. Functionally what's happening. But yeah, we could just get straight extra energy. Not a bad thing. We could do an anchorage, which would give us more naval capacity. Maybe something worth doing because we've blown past our naval cap. We did do that on purpose, though. So I'm not going to build an anchorage or the solar panel. I'm going to leave the extra module slot empty because I want to analyze what going past the naval cap is. And then if we want to rectify it, which we probably will, because it's going to be burdensome to be over our naval cap, we could build an anchorage to get 4 more naval capacity. That's a good option. So let's choose one other thing first. Let's look at our buildings and take a look at that. We have a lot of options here, folks. Some nice stuff. We could do crew quarters, which would allow us, when we have the Raspy Rhapsody anchored there, it would reduce her upkeep by 25% for a dock ship. It's not bad. It's not bad. Now, it's going to cost us an energy of upkeep, but a quarter off of the Rhapsody's burdens, what's her energy upkeep is what, at a 5, and her alloy? Let's take a look again. What was she coming in at? So it would save us like 1.5 energy, approximately, and it would save us a 0.3 of an alloy. Yeah, that would pay for it, I guess. Certainly if we had more ships there, it would pay for it, but that's questionable. What else could we do here? What other building would be worth looking at? Hydroponic farm would be a straight up 10 food, because we're getting some... And again, when I say the base cost is 1 energy, I just say that because in general that's true for everyone's space buildings. But we certainly do have a minus 24% because of our galactic ambition and our Minister of Defense, which everyone would have a Minister of Defense. But we're always going to say it's like 1 energy upkeep just in general. So do we want 10 food? It's not a bad thing. We're getting pretty tight up here, but remember, in the market, we are selling a bunch of food. So if we needed more, we could get it. One thing about hydroponic bays, though, is it is one of the most effective things you could do. You know, if you're buying food for trade, you're buying that at 1.3 trade per food. So let's knock off 1 energy. We'll say 1 energy for 1 food. So really what we're getting is 9 food clear. That's a lot of production. That's a lot of extra whatever. So I wouldn't mind it. Resource silos just gives us a lot more storage capacity. We don't need it. We're not bumping up against any of our maximums up here. 15,000, 15,000, 25,000. Yeah, we're nowhere close. Can't do a nebula refinery because apparently this is not in a nebula. We could tell that, by the way, by going into the Castor system. You would look down here. You would see if there was a space storm or a nebula in the icons here for a system. We can actually demonstrate that by jumping to... Let's jump around. None of our colonies are in nebulas. Oh, sad. I thought we had more nebulas. Okay. Really? I really thought... Oh, it is a nebula right there. Tooltips. Darn you, Stellaris. Okay. Sorry, Fu is in a nebula. Absolutely. And having a nebula refinery would give us minerals instead of food. Oh, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that right now. Yeah. I totally forgot about that option. Look, we can do 10 food, which isn't bad, but we want minerals more. Ah, man. That was always an option, and I forgot about it. It's okay. See, we're going to do it now. Upkeep is more expensive, FYI. 2 energy upkeep instead of the 1. But I want it. Okay, cool. Let's back out of there. Back over to Castor. So back into the buildings. We've chosen. I'm not going to worry about anything else. If we wanted to make that a little more defensible, the Castor Station, we could add a target uplink computer or like the disruption field generator. There are other buildings you could put in that would make your fleets more effective, the enemy fleets less effective. So if we wanted to. But I think that's a good balance. We'll let them build those up for the time. Oh, wait, we didn't choose. Because we're out of mineral. No, we're not out of minerals. We're out of alloys. All right, we've gotten too greedy. Canway, where are you sitting? You're done there, so let's have you backtrack to the Salvaging system. And we're going to build some mining stations there, just because it looks like a pretty good amount of energy production. And let's run the clock forward. Oh, I'm taking a look here at our naval capacity, right? We got a little bit of time left. So what does it do when we blow past our naval capacity? All right, we're going to mouse in here. The maintenance cost of your military ships is increased by 7% due to being over your naval capacity. Now we're over by 2. So is 2 of 27 7%? Is that how we're getting that number? Where's that coming from, folks? I could open up a calculator on my computer and figure that out. Is that right? Let's see. Sorry. Those are really tricky numbers. 27 or 29. 29's a prime. Yeah. Ah, dang it. It's hard to do the math in my brainiac. That seems about right. It seems about right. Let's see. How would I do it? I'm going to pause so I don't have to talk out loud. But essentially, I just have to set up a ratio. I need to put 29 over 100 equals... X, 27 over X, and then solve for X. And that would hopefully give me 93. And then we would know that the 7% here is coming from that. I'm going to pause, and I'll come back with the results. Okay, hold on a second. So I have a calculator, but I wanted to show people essentially... Oh, can you see that? Gosh darn it. The light's bad. Check it out. The way I'm thinking about this, if 100% is functionally the 29 that we're over right now. And then I want to know what percent is 2, the difference, right? So I'm going to solve for X by essentially multiplying both sides by 2 and then dividing by the 29, and we'll see what we get for X. All right, I'm going to pause again and actually do that. Okay, coming back. Let's try this again. So you can see there, folks, a little bit of our algebras. Oh, god dang it. I multiplied both sides by 2, crossed out the 2. That gave me X equals 200 over 29. And when you divide that, you get X equals 6.89. And it just not repeating, but like doesn't divide evenly because 29 is a prime number. So is that it? Is that it? Is that how we figured that out? We could... Oh, here, let me get rid of this. Hold on. How do I get rid of the stink thing? There we go. I clicked out of the window. Okay, so do we have another ship we're building? Hold on. Yes. Let's build another ship. We'll push it forward, and we'll see if that maintenance climbs commensurate. If we've keyed into how we calculate that. So let's just run the clock here. I'm watching the ship. Boom. Fu station just popped over. So now when we mouse up here, yep, I think that's about right. So if you look at essentially 30 is 11% past the 27% cap. That's how it's calculating. I think. Okay. And then now the other thing we want to do before, we're going to correct this, right? We are going to fix this. Don't worry about that. But let's now go look at the rapscallions. We mouse over. And we can see that, in fact, it did push up the upkeep, right? It's up to 5.72 energy and 1.21 alloy. I think that pushed it up 11%. Yeah. Okay. Now, the one thing I'm not clear on is that trade disappeared. Is trade only relevant when a ship is out of dock? You're supporting it out there. We're going to find that out as well. Let's take the rapscallion and push her forward to the Jor-El War system. She's a big ship. She's got serious firepower. So let's compare her. She is not as strong as the Belt Mangler's fleet, but she is stronger than the Hijack fleet. She's equivalent, again, to about 10 or 11. Not that you'd want to match her up. That I think spreading her fire among 10 different ships, she would come out on the losing end of that. But she might be able to take on 5 corvettes, possibly. So yeah, let's send her forward, and we're going to watch what happens with her trade. So we'll let her move out there. What else are we going to do here? We have a couple things going on. Anomaly detected. Fantastic. Oh, no, I didn't mean to hide it. I wanted to look at it. It's a level 3 anomaly. Yeah, let's click on her. Here we go. Strange debris. Yes. Scans have identified the debris field of uncertain origins. Could this have something to do with the abandoned science ship patrolling the system? Oh, it's abandoned science ship. It's not an alien civilization. It's a leftover of an alien civilization. Ooh, this is exciting. Ooh, okay. So FYI, folks, if you ever accidentally lost your anomaly or you closed it or you didn't get to it, it flashed and disappeared, you would go up to your situation log, anomalies tab, right? You've got different tabs right there, anomalies, not the situation log necessarily. So from here, we can click on strange debris. It's routine for Voidborn Mary. It'll take her 84 days. We're going to say yes. Research that. That alien ship here is... No, that's us. No, it's not. Oh, that's the damn Upsilons. And the other thing is here. This is the alien craft, the alien vessel. Okay. Well, let's back out of here. What are we going to do here, folks? We are going to try and get these anomalies researched while we can. Constructors coming in, the bones of a dead star. See, now I'm trying to race ahead. Now I want to get the systems. Like, I want all of them. Of course you do. It's because these people at Paradox are like just feeding your little endorphin trigger in your brain. They're like, one more system, one more anomaly. See you making it fun for me. But here we go. First contact pending. Lack of signal. This is the new aliens. Our linguistics are becoming increasingly frustrated by our linguists are becoming increasingly frustrated by our failure to provide them with sufficient material to make progress on decoding the language used by the new aliens. It seems these particular aliens are doing their utmost to prevent their signals from being heard by the wrong tympana? Tympana? Is that the membrane of your eardrum? Is that called the tympana? I think. Keep trying. Insight -2? Oh, man. That sucks. All right, well, we'll keep working on it. Come on, Mad Baldessari. Let's get this done. You got 19 days. Okay. What else do we have going on here? Summonetta is en route. Everyone's doing their thing. Yeah, it looks like everybody's got a job to do. Pretty sweet. And we're going to watch what happens with the rapscallions when they leave Castor. Research just capped off. Yeah, you know what? I am going to grab the bones of the Dead Star, and I am going to have them claim the system. Can't help myself. Build the outpost there at Jor-El War. Technology research. Ooh, genome mapping finished. Pop growth speed plus 10%. Mapping the genome of the individual through the sequencing of their DNA opens up for tailoring medical treatments and therapies, thus making people live longer and reproduce more readily. New research. Now, the great thing to remember is that we do have some stored research for society right now, so it's pretty nice. We have 4 options. We have a blocker we're going to pass on. We have Edict Fund. We don't need it, so not advisable. I mean, it opens up additional paths. In particular, covert operation paths, which could lead to code breaking, encryption, decryption technologies. It's not a bad thing for us. We want to kind of try and win the war of alien civilizations via diplomatic and espionage channels if possible, and making peace. Genetic healthcare unlocks the gene clinics. That's not bad. That would yield us a lot of amenities, pop growth speed. Pop growth speed also. Okay. What else do we have? Off-world trading. It's a building, a star-based building. Produces 2 trade for each trade hub. Yeah, that's a tricky one because you essentially have to use a module slot to build a trade hub. Then for each off-world trading, it will give you +2 trade per trade hub. So you can have a star base with like 4 trade hub buildings, and then or trade hub modules, and then and then a trade hub building. But it's kind of like layers upon layers, and we're not good at trade, so I'm not going to pursue that. Definitely not that. Definitely not the blocker. Gene clinic. Planetary modifiers, medical worker upkeep -20%, organic pop usage. It would stack well with the 10% pop growth we already grabbed. Yeah, I think we should do it. Or do we go down the Edicts Fund because that's what we're good at? No, we're going to do the Edicts Fund. We're going to do the Edicts Fund for roleplay purposes because we're all about edicts. Yeah, we are. Okay, and I actually do want to get into the covert operations path. So there you go. Adaptive bureaucracy, we'll have that in 50 months. That's not bad. Crystalline pacification is still trucking along. Where are we at with that? Jump over to the situation log. Closing in. We got a ways to go, but yeah, it's getting there. All right, run that clock. Come on. Okay, so we got the Raspy Rapscallions out. Let's mouse over again. Yes, logistical upkeep has come in because they are not stocked at the station, I think. I think that's what's going on. Or maybe because they're between planets. No, we found them at the Abitreus system. That's not inside of our space. Okay, so here's another experiment to do. Are we paying trade because they're not at a station or because they're outside of our space that we control? So how do we figure that out? Well, I want to keep the Raspy Rapscallions essentially where they're at here. We're going to put them in orbit at Jorwer. You know what I'm saying, folks. You guys know. Let's grab Hijack Fleet, though. It's one of our smaller fleets. And let's just send them out to Brakamar. No, not outside our control system. We're going to send them towards our controlled space, just here to Rigel, right? So once they get to Rigel, we'll see if it's because they've left our station or because they've left our controlled space, right? The Rapscallions are not in our controlled space. So let's run the clock. Construction complete. Couple things popping off. I'm going to pause here. We have a ghost ship. We have all sorts of stuff going on. We'll read through these. What do we want to do here? Hold on. I'm gonna close this down. Situation log updated. Oh, there's so much going on. I just want to see what happened. There we go. Okay. So, hijack fleet. Yeah. When they're in our controlled space. So yes, the trade comes in whenever they're not at a space station. Something new. I didn't know that. Okay, no problem. I'm going to send them back because I don't actually need them out there. Done. And then let's pop through these real quick. Starbase construction complete. We actually got our gun battery built. And now if we jump into the Castor system, actually we can see it right here. The caster system's firepower is 957. The Fuway station has no extra military capabilities. It's sitting at 669. Nice. So yeah, that's what a little bit extra firepower gives us. That makes them roughly equivalent to a 20 Corvette fleet, approximately. Again, they would not win against a 20 Corvette fleet because their firepower would be spread out. What else do we want to build, though? Well, I want to fix this naval cap problem. So let's jump in and have them build the anchorage. +4 naval cap. There you go. Is that the best use of that module slot? Probably not, but it's okay. For now, it'll fix this up. I'd rather have a bigger navy than not, just for defensive purposes. We're peaceful. Close that down. What else we got here? Another anomaly popped off. Signs of precursor activity at the Kornagi I-1. There are signs of activity of an ancient precursor civilization on this inhospitable rock. Hard 900 days. That's 3 years. No, we're gonna leave it be for now. Although, hold on, where is that? I want to see where that's at. Oh yeah, Kornagi's well within our space, so no, we're gonna ignore it. We'll have them continue surveying. We can get back to that level 8 anomaly anytime we want. So that's a good choice. What else do we got going on? System surveys. The Cybans done. Very cool. And that ship, the Free Pearl, is moving on to the Escaminza system. That's fine. And then we'll have them head on to the Rana system. And what else did we finish up here, folks? We finished up the Edor Vang system. Going this way. Cool. I say, so this is like always a strategy. Do we go out this way thinking that that might be a dead end? Or do we head to the north because we see that it does in fact connect to other things, assuming that we can pocket these away? Well, by moving the ISS Wise to this system to survey, as they get closer, it'll show us if there's a little wisp of a hyperlink coming off, or if in fact these 3 systems are safely pocketed within our space. In which case, we would then want to rush the ISS Wise to this spot, claiming that system, locking these 3 away safely in our space. Now, I know some of you might be saying, yeah, but Mark, why didn't you do that down here? I didn't do it down here because grabbing here or here doesn't lock away anything. They already had the Adrenal system and the High Can system. So say even if I got to Adrenal and I grabbed it, I still haven't locked away anything. I haven't locked away Jorwell, or because they can come from the High Can system into Ranshan, into Damernu, and into the Hilo system. See, I would have to double branch to lock things away, to claim them, passively claim them by locking them behind our systems. That was never an option with this because it's an open parallelogram, polygon. Yeah, polygon. It's not parallel. It's a polygon with many sides. I can't lock it up. That's why I wasn't racing to do that. It wasn't a defensive or claim grab, right? Yeah, you guys get it. You guys get what I'm saying. You're good. Okay. What else do we got going on there? Well, we're going to leave the rapscallions here just as kind of to flex their muscles. We have our constructor going to start building that starbase. And what's our science ship doing? They're surveying. Awesome. And then, of course, as soon as the bones of the Dead Star are done building the base, we'll have them go to the Helios, or actually this Damian system to work on the shipyard. And we may claim as we go. We'll see. We'll see. We're opening ourselves up, though. We're really kind of overextending. I don't particularly, though, want to try and go to war over this Adrenal system. Maybe I could. Could I? Do I want to abandon being pacifist? Ooh. I could. I could send all of our military fleets over to Jorel War. Go to war. Do you guys want to do that? Yeah, let's do it. Hold on. We're going to send all of our fleets over here. I'm just going to go for it. Maybe. Maybe we go to war and we claim Adrenal, and we claim the High Ken system. We bank up our influence and we make claims on these and try and push them out. Is there a reason we can't do that as pacifists? No, not in particular. We can't do unrestricted wars, and we cannot engage in indiscriminate orbital bombardment. Can we claim those? Maybe. Let's get the fleets in position, and if we want to mess with it, we can. See, now I'm getting greedy. I'm getting greedy because, I mean, we have the Galactic South, literally the Galactic South, all the way south. We have the Galactic Southeast, this whole branch. We have the Galactic Southwest. We have all of these systems here that look like they're more or less locked up. And we have the Galactic Northwest. We have so many ways to go without getting into conflicts. But do we punch these guys in the nose right now, knocking them back? They are essentially the first real peer-to-peer alien civilization we've come across. I don't know. We could get another commander and put him in charge of the Raspy Rapscallions? Question. Okay, I think that's enough for now. Yeah, when we come back, we'll take a look at everything. We have pushed up our Unity even further. Closing in there on some prosperity stuff. Okay, that's enough for now. If you watched, thank you so much. I hope you learned something about trade? Question mark.